He said you should have first-class cooks at every temple, and they should cook for 20 people, and there should be enough first-class prasad for 20 people, and as soon as that's running low, the cooks have to cook for another 20 people, and if that's getting low, cook for another 20 people. This must be our standard. And if there's anything left when the temple closes, then the devotees could finish it. That was how strongly Srila Prabhupada believed in the distribution of prasad. That is how deeply Srila Prabhupada believed in the sanctifying, purifying effects of prasad. And also, he was trying to teach us the actual spirit of Vaishnav hospitality. Srila Prabhupada said, if anybody comes to our temples, we shouldn't just think they're a person coming. We should see that Krishna has personally inspired them to come. They are Krishna's guest, and we must serve them nicely. So Srila Prabhupada was lecturing and taking his baths here at Prayag, and his health was dwindling. And one of his devotees, Rameshwar Swami, said, Srila Prabhupada, please let's go. Your health is very much being afflicted here. And Srila Prabhupada said, the Kumbh Mela is a religious conference. It's not just a place to bathe, it's a religious conference where leaders of all the various religious movements come together to give association. And Srila Prabhupada said, this is the greatness of India. Even though there are so many material distractions, still, the Kumbh Mela shows that spirituality is still the prominent concern of the people of India. But he expressed his concern how this material distraction was increasing more and more and more. And he quoted King Yudhishthira's beautiful verse to Vidura, Bhavadvida Bhagavatas Tirthakur, that the true purpose of going to a holy place is not just to bathe in the rivers, but to seek out the association of holy people and to hear from them. Rameshwar Swami told Srila Prabhupada that here you're preaching to some thousands of people, but your books will speak to millions and millions and millions of people for many generations to come. So let us go to a warm place so you can translate and write your purports. Bhuvaneshwar is a good place because you wanted to go there. So from here at Kumbh Mela, Srila Prabhupada, for the sake of what was most favorable, to show compassion to all, he went to Bhuvaneshwar, where he lived in Srila Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj's little straw hut and translated his books. The history of Kumbh Mela is graphically explained in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. May I share some of what is coming to my mind at this time? The story begins where Shukadev Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj different descendants of great personalities. And he explains that one Vairaja had a child named Ajita, who was the Supreme Lord, Vishnu, who manifested the form of a tortoise in order to hold the Mandara mountain for the purpose of the churning of the ocean of milk. And he was about to go on with the descendants. But Parikshit Maharaj said, please tell me about this churning of an ocean of milk. Mandara mountain was the churning rod. Please explain to me. This story is so instructive on so many levels. Please listen very carefully. It begins where there was a battle between the Suras and the Asuras. And Indra, the chief commander of the demigods, he was riding on his elephant. And he came upon Durvasa Muni, great sage, an expansion of Shiva. And Durvasa Muni wanted to bless Indra. So he took off his garland and offered it to Indra. But because Indra was so powerful, he was so famous, he was so beautiful and extremely wealthy, he was proud. Queen Kunti, she warned that the greatest disqualifications for our spiritual life is too much wealth, too much beauty, too much education, and a high birth where fame comes. Because these qualities tend to make one proud. When one is proud, one inevitably makes aparads or offenses to others, and one cannot humbly from one's heart cry out the names of the Lord. This was the situation of Indra. He was not grateful for what he received. Sometimes you receive so many things when you're in a high position, you're not grateful for little things that come. They become like a botheration to you. So here's the blessings of Durvasa Muni. And Indra took the garland, and he wasn't thinking of anything. He just, okay, another garland. And he put it on his elephant. And the elephant, it's an animal. He doesn't understand the value of a Mahaprasad garland. So he took the garland and put it between his legs and crushed it. Durvasa Muni, for Indra's own sake, he cursed him. That because you're so proud of your wealth and power, you will lose everything. And because all the other demigods were connected with Indra, they all lost everything. At the same time, Bali Maharaj, he did such nice, humble service to please his guru, Shukracharya, that he was blessed. So the demons were blessed by the sages, and the demigods were cursed, so the demons conquered the demigods. The demigods were homeless, bereft of everything, humiliated. There was nothing they could do except run to Lord Brahma and tell their predicament. So Brahma brought them to the shore of the ocean of milk, where they prayed to Lord Vishnu. And after those beautiful prayers, Lord Narayan appeared. And he spoke to Brahma and Shiva and the Devas. He said, now, because time is on the side of the demons, better you not fight with them. You will lose. Make a truce. And this is how you should make a truce. Tell the demons that together you should make an alliance for the purpose of churning the ocean of milk. If you take the Mandara mountain, use the serpent Vashuki as the rope. If you churn Amrit, nectar will rise. The nectar that even if a dying man drinks will gain immortality. But I warn you, as you're churning, the first thing that will come out is poison. Don't be afraid. Lord Shiva will save you. After that, jewels. The most beautiful, opulent things will be coming out. Do not be attracted to any of it. Keep your mind completely focused on the goal of the nectar. Don't be greedy. Don't be fearful. Don't be angry. Don't be envious. Just churn with patience, and the nectar will come. So Indra went to Bali Maharaj, and they spoke together, and Bali Maharaj immediately accepted. And they all lifted up the Mandara mountain. But this mountain was the highest mountain in the universe. And it was made of gold. So all the demigods and all the demons are lifting and lifting, but it was so heavy, it was breaking their arms, and some of them were being crushed, and some of them were being killed, and ultimately all they could do is cry to Krishna to save them. And Lord Vishnu again appeared and effortlessly lifted the Mandara mountain and put it on Garuda's back, transported it to the ocean of milk and placed it down. But Vashuki wouldn't come because Garuda was there. So Ajit Narayan told Garuda that you must go. So Garuda offered his pranams and left. And then Vashuki came. They wrapped it. He was the churning. The king of serpents was going to be the rope. So Ajit, Vishnu, on the side of the demigods, he took the head side of the serpent, and the demigods followed him. The reason he did it is he knew that the head of the serpent is a really dangerous place, and the tail is not dangerous at all. So he wanted to, control any difficulty that may come. But the nature of the asuras, the nature of material consciousness is envy. They were saying, why are you taking the head? Why are you making us take the tail? The tail is low class, the head is high class. Don't you see, we are great scholars, we are pundits of the scriptures, we have all good character, we are warriors, we are heroic, we have all good qualities. They went on strike. So unless you give us the head and you take the tail, we are not going to participate. Lord Vishnu didn't say anything. He just went over to the tail, and all the demigods went to the tail, and they started churning. As soon as they started churning, the mountain began to sink. Lower, 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 lower in the ocean, and they couldn't hold it up. What to do? So they cried out for Krishna to save them. And Vishnu, Ajit, manifested a most incredible incarnation. Kurma, a transcendental tortoise. Not an ordinary tortoise. The diameter of his shell was 800,000 miles. You may say impossible. But What a small mind to think that the Lord cannot do that. He's created this entire universe just by a single thought. He is a Chinta Shakti. He could do anything. He's created the sun planet. He's considered the moon planet, all the planets. Jaya Jagadish Hari. And he just moved underneath the Mandara mountain and put it on his back. And he became the foundation. And then they began churning again. And as they were churning, this gigantic mountain, God, we cannot even estimate its weight. It was all resting on his back. And as they were churning it and was moving, he felt by his own sweet will an itch on his back. And the mountain was scratching it. So he felt very nice. From there, as they were churning, massive, burning hot flames poured out from the mouth of Vashuki because he was hot getting churned like this. And the poor demons, they were like covered with black and they were all burnt and their hair was shriveled and so what to do? So Vishnu, by his causeless mercy, he created showers of cooling rain and cool breezes to make Vashuki satisfied. Then they churned again. As they were churning, bubbling out from the ocean was massive, unlimited qualities of hala hala, which was the deadliest of all poison. Kutahali. This poison was spreading throughout the entire universe. It was on the verge of exterminating all life. They were helpless. Again, they turned to Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu said, let us go to Lord Shiva. So they all went to Mount Kailash, where Lord Shiva resides. And there, they prayed to Lord Shiva. You are the most merciful. You are supremely kind. You are the Pashupatinath. You are the Lord of all living beings. Please save us from this poison. Don't you see it spreading everywhere? Mahadev turned to his consort, Bhavani, and said, it is the duty of a person with compassion to undergo all sorts of risks and inconveniences to help those who are suffering. Everyone is in need. See their situation. The topmost way to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead is to endure difficulties and sufferings out of compassion to others. And he asked his wife Parvati for permission to drink all the poison. And knowing the power of her husband, she gave her permission. And Lord Shiva, by his mystical powers, he took all that poison and condensed it into the amount that fit into his hand. Can you imagine that concentrated poison? He drank it. And as it went into his throat, it made a blue line in his throat. His name is Kalakanta or Nilakanta, because that blue line is one of the great ornaments of Lord Shiva, indicating how he is Paradukaduki. His supreme compassion. The happiness of others is his happiness, and the suffering of others is his suffering. After he drank the whole ocean of poison, and some little tiny parts of drops fell, and that's where all snakes, scorpions, and poisonous plants got their poison from. Again they churned. The next thing that came out was a cow named Surabhi, who could give unlimited quantities of pure milk. And Surabhi was given to the great sages for the performance of their yajna. The next thing that came out was a beautiful horse, Uchai Shava. And that horse was given to Bali Maharaj to be his carrier. They churned again, and an incredible elephant emerged, Airavata. That was given to Indra. Again they continued churning. The Kostubhamani, the celestial divine jewel, emerged from the ocean. And that was given to Ajit, Lord Vishnu, to wear on his neck. They churned, and so many things were coming. The Apsaras, the Parijata flower. And finally, the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, emerged from the ocean of milk. And she was so beautiful, she hypnotized everyone. She was looking for a husband, and everyone wanted. But she went to Lord Narayan, and there was a beautiful union of Lakshmi Narayan. And seeing that the demons really wanted her but couldn't get her, the next thing that came out of the ocean was Varuni, the goddess of intoxication. And she was given to the demons, and they were very happy. And they churned and they churned and they churned. And ultimately the moment they all waited for. A beautiful form of Vishnu appeared from the ocean. His complexion was blue, like a blue lotus. Beautiful, large lotus-like eyes. Very strongly built. His neck was like had the swirls of a conch shell. He had a broad chest and long arms. He was wearing a beautiful golden crown and pearl earrings. His cloth was yellow like the flashing of lightning. And in his hands was a golden pot filled with nectar. As soon as he emerged with that pot of nectar, the asuras ran and grabbed it out of his hands and ran away. Srila Prabhupada quotes Srimad Vacharya that Narayan could have stopped them, but he allowed them to do that. To allow the pastime to unfold. And so many lessons. When the demons stole it, the demigods were completely depressed. We already lost the battle, and we did this to try to get some strength, and now they're going to have thousands of times more strength, and we're not going to have anything. So they went to Lord Vishnu, and Vishnu just smiled. He said, "Don't worry. They will be so envious and so greedy that they won't allow each other to drink the nectar. Just be patient." So the demigods were watching, and one of the demons said, "I am foremost among all of us. I will have the honors of drinking first." And another demon ran and grabbed it and said, no, I am superior to you. I will drink it first. Another grabbed it from him and said, I am the greatest of the scholars. I am the greatest heroes. I will drink it first. Another grabbed it from him, and they were fighting over the nectar. And with all their powers, each and every one of them was not allowing any of the others to drink it. And nobody would allow them to drink it. So nobody was drinking it. They were fighting. It was going from one hand to another to another. And some of the weaker asuras, who knew they didn't have a chance, they were crying out that we made a deal with the demigods. Everyone would get it equally, so we should share it with the demigods. We gave our promise. Everyone should get equal. See, this is their own. They would rather have the demigods have it than their own people. That was their envy. So they were fighting and fighting and fighting, and those other people, the strong ones, you weak ones, what are you talking this nonsense philosophy for? It's mine, I deserve it. They could have all had it. But they were so attached to this pratishta, this prestige. It's not that one wanted to drink all of it. Just wanted the first honors. Nobody could get it. At that moment, Lord Vishnu manifested the form of Mohini. She was very beautiful. She was the absolute truth, the all-attractive personality of Godhead in a female form. And as soon as the demons saw the nectar of her beauty, they kind of forgot about the nectar in the pot. And she was so expert. She looked at each and every one of them with a glance that told them, I love you. And each of the demons, the weak ones, the strong ones, they all thought, she loves me. So convinced that she loved only him, they all unanimously agreed, let's give the nectar, since we can't, none of us could drink it because we're fighting over it, let's give it to her and she could decide who gets it. And she'll definitely give it to me because she loves me. They're all thinking like that. So they said, here, you take this nectar and you give it to whoever you want to give it to. They were acting very detached. And she told them right out what the situation was. She said, you don't even know who I am. You don't know what family I'm coming from. I'm just a stranger. Why are you putting your trust in me? You shouldn't trust a stranger like this. And they said, oh, you are speaking so funny words. Please take the nectar and give it. So she said, all right, I will give it to whoever I want. And each one was just waiting. They knew, they were 100% convinced that they were going to get it all. Each one. And she just went over to the demigods and started pouring it in the mouths of the demigods. And the demons were seeing this. Why didn't they go over and try to stop? Because they thought she loved them. And they didn't want to disturb their relationship with her. Only Rahu, he disguised himself in a demigod and stood before Chandra and Surya and put his head up, and then he drank. But then Surya and Chandra said, that's Rahu, he's disguised. And Mohini Murti, she did her chakra lila. So the nectar was in his head but never went down, and his head became immortal. So in this way, the Lord Konteya pratijanehi name bhakta pranashyati. He always protects his devotees. But he doesn't always do it according to our master plan. He does it according to what's ultimately best for us. And this churning of the ocean of milk, incredible story. Because in our sadhana, it's like churning. The nectar of Krishna Prema is within all of us. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sravanadijai. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sajakapunoi Sravanadi Sudichiti Kodige Yodoi. That love for Krishna is within the heart of everyone. By chanting the holy names and associating with great souls, that love is awakened. So as we are Saravanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, it's like churning. And many of us have the experience that one of the first things that comes out is poison. Anartha Nivriti. All of these unwanted desires, lust, anger, envy, arrogance, greed, illusion, so much, we only see what comes to the surface, but there's a whole ocean of it inside. And it comes to the surface. Srila Prabhupada used the example, as we're hearing and chanting, following devotional service, it's like boiling butter to make it ghee. The impurities come to the top, and we start seeing it like we've never seen it before. But if we just keep on chanting, if we follow the regulative principles according to Vaishnava culture, Trinadapi Sunichena Taror Ibaseshnana, Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari, then the impurities come out and they're scraped away by Krishna's grace. And in the same way, as we practice devotional service, besides the poison of impurities coming out, where we have to take shelter of the Lord and take shelter of the name at that time, many temptations will come. Prestige, wealth, honor, abilities, knowledge, these things may come. And if we become attracted to become attached to any of it, we will not get the nectar. Vyavasayatmaka budhir ekeha kudunandana bahushaka hyanantascha budhayo vyavasayana. Krishna tells those who are on this path are resolute in purpose. Their aim is one. The aim is prema bhakti. The aim is to be the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant in all situations. Our Namacharya Haridas Thakur explained the only true goal of the chanting of the holy names is the awakening of love of God. Anyabilashita sunyam jnana karmanyakam. That we are not concerned with heavenly treasures. We're not concerned with mystical powers. We're not concerned even with liberation. We simply want to serve Krishna for Krishna's pleasure in a favorable way with love. That is the goal. And if we fix our mind on that purpose and chant the holy names according to Srila Prabhupada's divine guidance, then the nectar will come. While the devas and while the demons were taking away the pot of nectar from Dhanvantari, it is described in different ways in different places, but some drops fell of that nectar in 4 places. At Prayag, Haridwar, Nasik, and Ujjain. And every 6 years, a portion of that nectar, according to constellations, they make like a pot, and the water emerges from the bottom and comes from the astral level, and that nectar emerges. And it fully manifests every 12 years during the Kumbh Mela. So since this time, with faith in the scriptures and faith in the acharyas, tens and millions of people come to celebrate the nectar of the Lord's grace and come to bathe in the nectar of the Lord's grace. Because that nectar is the nectar of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Dhanvantari. And these two holy rivers, the river Ganga, when Vamanadev pierced the covering of the universe, the water from the causal ocean manifesting from the body of Vishnu washed his feet and was the most sacred of all treasures of the heavenly worlds. And the son of the descendant of Maharaj Sagar, Bhagirat, through his tens and thousands of years of tapasya at Gangotri, brought the Ganga down into the matted locks of Shiva. And then he monitored the flow of the Ganga to come to the earth. And Yamuna, when Krishna decided to come to this world from Goloka, he told Srimati Radharani, I'm going to descend to the world. They were come together. She said, but I will not be happy without the forest of Vrindavan, with the hill of Govardhan, and with the river Yamuna. Krishna said, I have already sent them to the world. So the Yamuna river is descended from Goloka Vrindavan, as has the forest of Vrindavan and as has the hill Govardhan. And Saraswati, that holy river that Srila Vyasadeva, presided by Saraswati herself, they all come together at this Triveni Sangam. And in one sense, they've come together to attract holy people from all directions together. And by bathing in the congregational chanting and the holy names with such saintly people, not only can we become purified, but we could be instruments to purify the whole world. And by Srila Prabhupada's instruction, that is why we have come to Kumbh Mela. The Namamrita, to distribute the nectar of all nectar, the nectar of the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.